Strong messages from the two sessions on a united China and a more connected world through trade. At the same time, U.S. President Trump is getting more confrontational, making overtures to Taiwan and proposing new tariffs on Chinese imports. Let's bring in Neysun Mahboubi, a research scholar at University of Pennsylvania's Center for the Study of Contemporary China. Neysun, welcome to our program.
Thanks. Good morning, Asieh.
Good morning to you. I want to begin with the possibility of new tariffs the Trump administration is considering that would target IT, telecom, consumer products. What would this mean for consumers? What would it mean for the U.S. economy if the Trump administration went ahead with this?
Right. So we're on the verge of a possible announcement about these tariffs. These would be the outgrowth of the Section 301 investigation that the USTR has been conducting for the past year. And it's being reported that the package that was initially offered or suggested to President Trump was for $30 billion in tariffs, and President Trump himself decided to double it to $60 billion in tariffs. So there's obviously, we have to wait and see what the final form of this is. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce and other business groups in the U.S. have weighed in strongly against them, but this has been a theme that has been consistent in President Trump's worldview for many, many years, of feeling that the Chinese economic competition with the U.S. is something the U.S. should take more seriously. So my suspicion is that the U.S. will go through with this, notwithstanding the various concerns that are being raised even on this side.
Well, you know, they argue, the Trump administration argues this is about punishing China for intellectual property theft, and they claim this will actually create more jobs. What do you make of that argument? And do they have a valid point, especially when it comes to intellectual property theft?
I think certainly there have been, over the past few administrations, recurring concerns about technology transfer when U.S. businesses do work in China, and the question of intellectual property theft. This has been a recurring concern. I think that this kind of action is not one that previous administrations necessarily would have taken, but President Trump has proven himself to like to do new things and to often push past when there are concerns that are raised against it. So again, I think that there is some grounds for the U.S. to be concerned about intellectual property theft in China. This particular mechanism of imposing tariffs like this is something that I think is more particular to President Trump and his approach to international policymaking.
Neysun, China has already said no one wins from a trade war. And they say, you know, okay, let's get together and talk about this. This should be part of a negotiation. They're also promising to open their markets. In fact, we heard from Premier Li Keqiang. So why not talk to the Chinese? Why not hear what they have to say, get together, negotiate, instead of just imposing the tariffs?
Well, you know, the newly installed Vice Premier Liu He, who is basically the chief economic official in the Xi Jinping administration right now, he visited Washington a couple of weeks ago and was trying to have discussions along the lines that you've just suggested, was trying to restart the comprehensive economic dialogue. And the reporting around the trip basically suggested that one of the issues was he didn't really know who to talk to. There's so much uncertainty right now in the Trump administration. You've seen the recent departure of the National Economic Advisor, Gary Cohn. A new National Economic Advisor is coming on board. Whether the status of Wilbur Ross or Steve Mnuchin, where they fit in these are all very confusing. And so part of the problem for Chinese policymakers is knowing who to speak to. But if we step back from this particular issue and that particular concern, one can see that on the whole, the Trump administration has provided many good opportunities for the Chinese government and for the projection of the Chinese economy, particularly in the Asian region. So as much as there may be concern about this particular issue on the Chinese side of the tariffs, I think on balance, they probably appreciate that the opportunities that, frankly, U.S. withdrawal from the region and from global leadership is affording them. So I would be surprised if the Chinese government was very confrontational in its reaction to these newly imposed tariffs.
We shall see. Neysun Mahboubi, thank you so much.